There's definitely certain shots that are a complete rip-off of what Ivan did, you know, and I thought, oh, that's okay, because, you know, he's influenced all of this. And then there's also, there's a lot of style and reference to No Country for Old Men, a reference of his, or I believe is a reference of his. There's actually shots which we completely emulated from No Country for Old Men, and we put a little RD for Roger Deakins in the corner of the frame, somewhere in the set design, as a sort of like, I don't know, salute to him and his amazing work. Mystery Road Origin is, as the title says, an origin story of Jay Swan. We go back into 1999 and learn about a young constable going back to his hometown and his relationships with his family, the way he's treading two worlds, and a few mysteries.
Max, and cup him, please.
The individual was exiting the scene of a robbery.
The individual is actually Constable Jay Swan.
All 3 seasons have been shot in WA. The first season was shot in Kununurra, the second in Broome, and for this one we knew we had to go to a new location, a new town, and I was fortunate to be able to just open up Google Maps and go around on satellite images through WA to find a town that was appealing to me, and a town that I thought would really create the backbone of what we could write to and what we could say about this country and about this origin story. And we fell with Kalgoorlie. Kalgoorlie is a gold mining town, and it really has this grand history, this sort of like grandeur of these buildings from the 1800s that you could see that there was, you know, hundreds of thousands of people living in these towns, but now it's, for a better word, it's all a bit derelict, it's all a bit run down, it's sort of like this dying past of Australia. 6 hours of drama is a lot, you know. I think I was mostly nervous about how I was going to undertake the whole story and how I was going to hold that together. But at the same time, I really wanted to, you know, I'm not sure if Mystery Road for me would have been as appealing if I was a block director. You know, I really wanted to be able to take something, a big challenge like this, and really own it, you know, and own the responsibility that if I stuff it up, it's on me, you know, and not put the blame on anyone else.
What are these idiots doing?
Working with Mark Cole-Smith, you know, I've never worked with him before. I'm a fan of his work. I think I first really recognised him in Last Cab to Darwin, you know, and just loved the youthful energy that he had in that. And I really wanted Mark to play Jay.
I'll look after you.
So we talked about how Jay may be more optimistic, how he might smile. You know, Jay Swan, as Aaron has played him, rarely smiles, if ever. So we knew right from the first episode we want to see Jay smile.
You mad bastard.
It was apparent from the first day that there's going to be a lot of flies and there's nothing we could do about it. We had, you know, hair and makeup putting fly spray in Mark Cole-Smith's hair all at the back so they just wouldn't, you know, swarm onto his face, and they just did. And so I told him and all the actors that if a fly lands on you, you just make sure you swat it away, because there's nothing worse than watching, you know, a fly crawling into your eye and you're doing your lines, and you know, as an audience, you just want to go and grab it and take it off their face. So I think my sensibility is humour. I'm not a funny person, I'm not a comedian, but I think there's a dark comedy that I like to write to. A bit of the humour comes from me. Obviously, all the writers added what they could, and the actors as well, you know. The amazing Stevie Bisley's in this, and straight away he told me, this is a dark comedy. And I'm like, is it? And he convinced me. So, you know, over the 10-week shoot, he convinced me it is a bit of a dark comedy, and especially his character, Peter Laverick, is quite the comedian.
Well, it's not far to the wreckers.
In episode 1, we learn about this town, and we go back with Jay as he checks into his accommodation, which is a dingy motel in Jardine. And I knew I wanted to cast this motel owner, and mainly because I heard someone in town saying this line, oh, that's where we hide the bodies. And I was like, what? And then I heard this line again, and just so everyone in Kalgoorlie, there's just this ongoing joke of like, there's these hidden bodies in places, and it's so Mystery Road. And so I was like, all right, someone needs to say that. So I wrote this character that's the motel owner that opens the wrong door, and he says,
Wrong room, that's where I stack the bodies.
So we cast this guy, Murray, who's a local Kalgoorlie fellow, and he hasn't acted before. He was very nervous, and I think I wrote some lines about his arthritis playing up or something like that, and he couldn't get them in his head, but he was just telling this big yarn to Mark Cole-Smith about how the pub across the road used to have the best egg and bacon rolls.
Might even get yourself a double yoker in there. They are superb.
We said, well, why don't you just talk about that? You know, that's what, don't worry about the lines, just talk about egg and bacon rolls, and that's how that came about, you know. And so I think we're working with non-actors, you have to just give them that freedom, you know, just make them feel comfortable. If they don't remember the lines, what's something better for them to say that feels natural for them, and go with that. So I guess my job directing Mystery Road is to continue the legacy of First Nations storytelling, in the sense that it's really important that our stories are told by our mob and with our mob, and that First Nations stories aren't stereotyped, you know, the characters aren't stereotyped, that they're authentic, you know, from start to finish. And that's what my job is. It's been the job of Ivan Sen, it's been the job of Rachel Perkins, Warwick, Wayne, you know, and now myself, to continue that legacy.